Okay, imagine this for a second. A world where your ID isn't in your wallet.
Yeah.
Well, it's right there on your body.
Yeah.
Like proving who you are is just a quick scan away. Seems
What?
pretty futuristic, right? But the big question, the really interesting one, is that future based on, tiny chips under our skin? Or is it something else? Today, we're doing a deep dive into exactly that, some really thought-provoking ideas about personal ID. We're looking at a specific source. Identification Chips or Codes by Tyreek A. Gaynor-Fray.
Yeah, and our mission here really is to unpack what Gaynor-Fray is putting forward. The possibilities, sure, but also the deeper implications. We want to explore the why behind these ideas and help you, listening in, think about the what-ifs for your own identity, both digital and, well, physical.
Right, so Gaynor-Fray sets up this kind of central dilemma almost immediately. It's about body-based ID.
Yeah.
And it boils down to microchips or maybe even nanochips versus dot codes, like QR codes or barcodes. What's the core distance the author's getting at there beyond just, one being inside and one outside?
Well, that's what's interesting. The author acknowledges the chip idea. Obviously, it's out there. But their main focus, the alternative they propose, is really these codes. QR codes, barcodes. And the distinction isn't just internal versus external, like you said. It's framed more as invasive versus non-invasive. The whole concept is linking, say, a secure website or maybe a PDF, holding your info to a unique QR code. And that code, the author suggests, could actually be tattooed onto your skin.
Tattooed. Wow. Okay, so your ID becomes scannable art.
Potentially, yeah. Accessible with just a simple scan.
And that non-invasive angle, that feels like the really big deal here, doesn't it? The author seems to stress that as a key advantage over chips. You get the accessibility, but without that feeling of something inside you. You have to wonder, just that psychological difference alone, what that means for people actually adopting it.
Exactly. And if you look at the kind of information the author imagines linking, it's surprisingly broad. It's not just your basic ID details like name and address. No, the idea includes things like links to your personal blogs or written PDFs, maybe portfolios, resumes, even payment information.
Payment info. Link to a tattoo.
That seems to be the vision, yeah.
Yeah.
Creating this really comprehensive digital identity hub, accessible from that one code on your body. It's a completely different way of thinking about, carrying your digital self around.
It really is. Way beyond a plastic card. So,
Okay.
if that's the vision, how does the author suggest actually making this happen? They must offer some practical steps, right? Not just the idea.
Oh, yeah, definitely. They outline a few how-to approaches using tools that are, well, mostly already available. One way is using platforms like Linktree, those pages that gather all your online links in one spot. The author even gives an example, https://linktr.elutionf61, as a sort of template for where this digital ID could live. It's about using what's easy and already out there.
Right, leveraging existing web tools. Makes sense. What else?
Well, another option is setting up a dedicated website. The author points to their own example, https://socialmedia.w3spaces.com. This gives you more control, obviously, over your digital identity, and you tag a specific code to that site. And then looking a bit more ahead, the author touches on using blockchain.
Ah, blockchain. Okay, that always comes up with security. What's the angle here?
Right. The idea is you could use blockchain for, say, super secure websites or maybe PDFs that have these codes embedded. The thinking is that blockchain's nature being immutable, decentralized, could make the data incredibly secure, hard to tamper with, builds trust. And just on a basic level, they also mention using any standard QR code generator, giving an example like https://qrcodetreator.com/com/QR generator to actually create the code itself. So it's a mix, really. Existing stuff, newer tech like blockchain, and the basic tools.
Okay, that paints a clearer picture of the how. But then, after all that, the author ends with this comment. It's short, almost feels like an afterthought, but it's pretty pointed. They say, what's the better option? Share your thought in the comments. Not like either accomplishes anything because the government already knows you. That kind of stops you in your tracks, doesn't it?
It really does. It's quite the mic drop moment, in a way. That closing line, brief as it is, suggests a whole perspective on, data privacy. It hints at this feeling of, well, maybe resignation.
Yeah.
Or just pragmatism.
Yeah.
Like, in a world where governments and companies already collect so much data, does it fundamentally matter how we choose to display or carry our ID on our bodies? Is it just rearranging deck chairs, in a sense?
So the question becomes less about the tech chip versus code and more about its actual impact in the grand scheme of data collection.
Exactly. The author seems to be asking, Are these methods truly adding privacy or just changing the access point when the data is already out there?
Mhm.
It's definitely something for you, the listener, to think about. What does control really mean in this context? It's less about right or wrong, more about effectiveness.
And that really brings our exploration full circle. We've looked at this fascinating fork in the road for personal ID. You've got invasive chips on one path and these surprisingly non-invasive QR code tattoos on the other. Two very different futures for carrying who we are.
Yeah, and to boil it down for you, the listener, the key thing to grasp is how these methods propose storing and sharing identity. It's this balance, isn't it, between the convenience and, let's face it, the coolness factor of new tech versus our sense of personal control over our bodies and data. Especially when you layer in the author's final comment about existing surveillance, it adds, well, another level of complexity.
Definitely. So maybe the final thought to leave you with is this. If our identities do become more digital, more physically integrated, tattooed, or chipped, how does that change us? How does it shift our relationship with our own information and how we interact in public spaces? What are the unforeseen consequences, the benefits, or the drawbacks that we haven't even considered yet? Something to really chew on.